Be up for what now?
Hang on a second.
Okay. I'm Rick, KA4OHM.
I'm Will, KA4.
I am Dwayne, KK4JNN.
I'm David, KJ4LHB.
I'm Bruce, W4BRU. Oh, that's outside.
One PPT.
Dennis, K4DAF.
Warren, KQ4MML.
Gene, K4JD.
Hartman, WA1UQO.
Oh.
Like for here.
Darryl, coming for it.
Dan,
Okay, KM4JCP.
Ben, W4WIN.
Got a couple guys in the background.
Christian, KO4JGN.
Are you a visitor, Chris? You two guys members yet?
Okay.
Well, welcome.
Got one of the photo when you read yet. Beside you.
So anyway, welcome to the club, and we, a lot of interest in this club. Guys are interested, but some area of interest that you have, approach me or approach Bruce, and we can get you in any direction that you're interested. So why don't we go ahead and start our business meeting?
I was gonna say, we don't have a more, logical way to introduce people on Zoom, so I'm just going to do that.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Let's
We didn't introduce the remote people either.
yeah, so, what we're gonna do is, yeah, so I'm gonna read everyone's name down the list, and we're just gonna acknowledge you. And then if you have anything else you wanna add about yourself, you can go. So we want to welcome Rob, KC4 and Mike. Is there anything else you wanted to add about yourself? Awesome, and I'm gonna stop asking that question too, so, Ken, our treasurer, WBOL.
I have nothing else to add. You added treasure. That's it.
Perfect. Craig, KC9CR.
Good evening. How's everybody this evening?
Good.
John. WB4NHX. Kathleen,
K4 PKB.
Patrick. L. Patrick.
K4 PKB.
Awesome. Bill, N4 WLC, and Judy, N4 JDI.
We are present. Good evening.
Awesome. Good evening, you guys. Good to have you. Nathaniel, W1 OLP. And Scott, KO4UO. And did we miss anyone, or did anyone else want to add anything?
Did you say me?
I think so. I think.
You said
Hello,
Kathleen's here. Present.
You're dark, Kath. You're dark. We
Oh,
can't see you.
sorry. Oh no, I don't want to be in the shadows. Let me
Yeah,
find
turn on
the-
the light. Turn on the light. Let's see how pretty you are.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, present.
All right, that worked a lot better. So thank you, Ken, for that. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So why don't we go ahead and start our business meeting? And if we could have Ken Leidner. Members.
Okay, we started the month with $17,887.22. We got 3 seminars, so that brought us up $30. We had for the FCC classes, we had $66 come in. We had, let's see, 5 memberships at $110, $3 donation. That was somebody gave me $25 instead of 22, and they said, just keep it and make it a donation. Greatly appreciated. And then another set of memberships for $44. So $253 came in. We did have for Dave Stevens for the general class, a few supplies. That was $37.96. And we paid PayPal $11.76. So that was $49.72 going out, leaving us at $18,090.50. We have no new members, but I do have one announcement to the club. We're being hosted at a place called Namecheap, and they are updating their servers this Saturday, starting at 7 p.m. They expect it to last up to 10 hours. So 7 p.m. on Saturday through midnight, basically. Might be done earlier, but just want everybody to know, if you try to go to our website on Saturday evening, you won't make it, as they're updating the software on the servers. That's all I have. Thanks, guys.
Any old business anyone has? Well, I'm gonna get close if it's me then have. Any old business? Anyone? How about new business? Go ahead.
You can probably stand up there and just talk to this machine
You
here.
might be here, on this.
David, this one.
I'm not too people when. 6 meters on Sunday. 5135. On. Yeah.
Guys, the audio's dropping out.
Need to get closer, Tom, closer to either one.
And speak as loudly as you can.
We also have a 6 meter net FM 52525 on Thursday. And this is I'd like to direct this to the new hams. Be able, let them know. We'd like to have your participation in these nets. Secondly, the newsletter needs to be changed as far as the 5135 on Sunday. There's no 2525. There hasn't been for many years.
Can you send it to Armin?
Armin and I talked about it. The thing is, it needs to be corrected in the website.
Okay.
All right, so there on Wednesday or Sunday night, it's 5135. That's from 7 through. But the new, the website has to be corrected there.
Yep.
Is there a next page?
We had a net page for a while, never right. Look, on the,
Is
On
it
the
on
app.
is it on the net page or on the calendar or both?
Let's see,
probably on the calendar.
Okay,
in the newsletter, it's showing these nets. No, whatever.
Correct.
The newsletter needs to be on Sunday night. We have a 5135. There's no FM, no 52525 on Sunday night. Years ago, there was.
Okay. We just need to list and go from there, yeah.
But on the other one, it's just kind of an alert for new hams on Wednesday night. It's on it's on the newsletter, is a 28475. That's okay. We have an FM net on Thursday night at 7. All these start at 7. And that is 52525. But it just needs to be corrected. Now, Armin's already picked up on it and began the process of checking it, changing it in our newsletter. But we need to, be sure that they jive with with our website.
You can send it to me, Armin, and we'll update the website. Thanks.
Everything Armin figured it needs to be addressed. But anyway, the thing is, these nets are there. We have about 5 or 6 on Sunday. We have about the same, maybe 8 at most on Wednesday on a 10. And on FM, we got about maybe 6 to 8 people. But for new hams, they're there. We just like to maybe get you all on board with that, good. Anybody that's hearing me. Because they're there and they're in our newsletter, why not, make them useful?
Put them on the calendar, sure.
Okay,
So is there one single place to look for next? Because I'm only aware of Tom's on Monday night. And I'd like to join others.
yes, K before CMK. I don't know whether that 80 meter net is shown on in the newsletter or on record on the website.
Because it would be great if like there was just one place to, yeah. I think Gene.
What happened? There used to be a page on the website. What happened to that?
It was always wrong. Okay. I mean, we don't know about it, people don't tell us, right? So what we did is we started to put it on the, Jim Spates, he's left town, I forgot his name. Anyway, Jim had it set up with the calendar. We're trying to keep the calendar up to date. And that's used by a couple of other websites as well. So I'll go back out and update the calendar, or actually, get the list from you, Armin, we'll do that. But if we don't know about them, we can't put them up.
Okay, so all these things just need to be jived there and corrected so that we can.
So we'll also remember to follow up on that at the June meeting and see if we got it.
Yeah, because I could tell them, look, if you check on our website or if you check in the newsletter, if you get it, there's where they'll be, that's where we will be on those days of the week. Thank you.
Well, maybe it would be good to have like one, like you could say the calendar is the place because the newsletter.
Okay.
Is ideally updated, but may not be updated, so.
Okay.
You know what they are, we can update.
Any other new business, including any of the remote? Hearing nothing else, I request a movement to finish the business meeting. All in favor? So now, Bruce, you have some announcements to make about this. Anybody have announcements?
So we had our first good semester since COVID got over. We had 16 for tech. We had 6 for extra wanted to drop out because we had real life. I think we had 5 for general. We had 5 in every one of the seminars. So the seminars did really well. So that's been our best semester since COVID. Some people took the other team. Come on. Anyway, they took the other VE group's tests last Saturday. We had 3 of the extra passed. I think about the same number for, let me get this straight. So we had 2 of the text passed, 2 of the general passed, and 3 of the extra passed. Now tomorrow, is big test. So we expect most of the rest of them are gonna go to that test. But we're doing fairly well. Ken and I figure if more than half of our students pass, we passed, and more than half did, so we figure we passed. Anyway, we're gonna take a look at the next semester. Hopefully it'll be as good as this one. Any questions or? Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Bruce. So, anybody have any good operating experiences to talk about?
Well, new general, that's my life.
Congratulations.
Let's say 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Good.
And believe it or not, the first contact I made was radio. I turned on the radio, was morning time, so pretty dark out there. I figured, let's try it, right? What's happening?
That's the motivation.
Barely hear the first, and I go, let me look at the force and suddenly this V, whatever, I'm like, where is he at? Melbourne, Australia. I'm like, you got it.
So that's the motivation for getting your general.
Yeah, but Australia, New Zealand, my dream is
Pretty good.
a BK or a ZL.
The first contact, I'm like, this is again, so and since
Yeah,
then,
it's good.
I'm on the road. It's like all over the world. It's phenomenal. The
Good.
dipole, Letterland, my great mentor here, Dennis.
So what kind
This is
of,
how you do it, and it works like
what
this.
is your station setup? What are you using?
It's a Icon 7300 running barefoot. Just.
And what kind of antenna?
And you got a VK with that, we
Yeah.
are doing with digital, with the.
No, voice.
What kind of antenna?
It's a dipole.
You gotta come over and show me how to do that.
And what band was that on?
What was it? 17
Oh,
or
yeah,
16
that's a
meters.
good band. Yeah, so, for those guys that are just texting, this is the kind of excitement that kind of bites you when you.
Brazil, Europe, it's all out there. Now, this is amazing. And the most amazing part is if I talk to people, they always report that directional beam antennas for thousands of dollars. They want to know what is your equipment because we got you 5.9. Okay, this is just bare minimum. Amazing.
Yeah, the sun has not been too good to us lately. It looks like, there's been some, solar flares and x-rays and a bunch of coronal mass ejections, so things are gonna be messy for a while. That goes along with having good sunspot activity, so take the good with the bad. Anybody else have any interesting stuff to talk about? We're gonna, have a talk tonight by Rob Thomas. Rob, do you wanna go now, or do you wanna take a little break? Give us a little bit.
It's up to everybody.
We'll break, maybe get back together at 7 and Ralph can give us talk.
That's good.
Hey, tonight, we're gonna have Rob Thomas talking to us about, 3D printers. I'm gonna wait for four-dimensional printers myself, but for this, Rob is gonna tell us, so like, take it away, Rob.
All right. Can everyone hear me? Hello? Everyone hear me?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Very good.
Good. So a few things to go over. I was asked to speak about 3D printing, and as it came up in the newsletter, it was about buying a new 3D printer. And I think there's a whole lot more to it there before we get to buying one. So I'm going to cover some of those things. Then we can talk about what's on the market right now. And, you know, some that have come up that are so recent that we don't even have them at Hack RVA, and we've got quite a few. So anyway, we'll talk about that. So first of all, how many people here have used a 3D printer or own a 3D printer? Anyone? I can't see it. I can't see in the room there. So if somebody raised their hand, somebody else tell me. So,
I see 3 hands, Rob.
3 or 4 people.
oh, okay. And the other question is, so what do you print with it most of the time?
Everything.
Be more specific.
I printed crosses, I printed dice towers, I have printed business card boxes, Christmas ornaments,
Okay,
toys.
right. We won't go to what the most popular ones are in Scandinavia. But anyway, so I thought I will go over some things that that hams might want to print with them. And I actually have some examples here. And I think I'll share my screen if I can do that. All right. Can everybody see my screen then?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So, for example, I got a new Raspberry Pi 5 and I thought it'd be cool to have a case for it. And so I went in and I went to printables here, and you can go to Thingiverse and places like that, and you can download the files. And then you can print it yourself. If you don't know how to use a piece of CAD software, that's something we'll talk about in a couple of minutes. Another thing, if you go over to Farhan's site with the BidX, he's got some little parts here that you can 3D print. That's one of his PTOs, or a permeability tunable oscillator. So instead of using an air variable capacitor, you tune this by sliding a tickler coil or just a piece of metal inside of the coil, which changes the inductance and tunes the radio that way. I don't know how many of you are into radical fundamentalist home brewing, but there's a tsunami brewing out there, and we're part of it. So anyway, here's something that's interesting. If you do any work of any kind that you can download, it's a handy little item. It's a lead bender, and you can just pop your component in there and bend the leads over, and it'll be perfect for the hole placement in certain PCBs. So that's a handy little tool. So there are lots of things there that you can download without getting involved in designing it yourself. If you do know how to use software, here is a free program that I use called Blender. And here I brought those very same parts of Farhan's in, and you can go in and modify them. And you can see that we have quite a bit of capability in Blender. Plus you can export them as several different kinds of files that can be brought up in the software. So once you have exported your file as an STP or a 3D printable file, let me play that, and then you would bring it up in a piece of software that's usually relevant or relative to your printer. Some printers have their own software. They're interchangeable. This one is for Prusa. We have several Prusas at Hack RVA, and we have another kind, but you can go in and set the put the settings for the different print settings. You can choose different printers, and so what you would do is go in and recent project. Here's the PTO. So there are those, and once you bring those in, you can just rearrange them, move them around, rotate them, and then you slice it, and that shows you basically, it color codes the things to tell you different information. It's quite extensive. It's may look a little intimidating, but I don't know many people that really go in and dwell on any of these things. But if you did have a particular problem, once you'd printed out the part, you'd be able to go in and analyze it. You can choose, here's the printer right here. You can choose different infill amounts. So that's just kind of a quick overview of the process. So I guess the thing I really want to emphasize is if you think you're going to use, if you're a builder and you want to use a 3D printer for building things, you really have to know kind of what you're going to do with it. So here are some things that I have listed out that hams would want to print: enclosures, coil forms, antenna connectors, knobs. Knobs are good. If you have a if you have a knob that you want for a certain radio, or you want to replicate one from an older radio, if you're good at again designing things, that's kind of the crux of that. Unless you can find the file online that's been done by some hotshot kid, and there are a lot of them out there. So the main thing about 3D printing is it's really slow. It's faster perhaps than ordering it on Amazon, but in terms of if you're used to building things, it can take, well, that print right there took 9 hours to print those. I believe it was eight of those. When we were doing the cases for the widgets, those took about 6 hours to print 4 sets. So you see, it's not a high production tool. So if you're thinking of starting an Etsy shop or something with some real nifty little gadget for hams and you'd like to sell them, that's probably not the way to do it. You probably want to either go to one of the online companies that does, like, oh, I have several of them, J Labs and Zeometry, and they will 3D print, you know, high runs for you at a cost. But if you have patience and a lot of time, it's a good thing to have one. But I really question whether most people that are not building things are going to do with the 3D printer. My son and I bought a SLA printer, which is a liquid resin, and it gives extremely high definition, and it can do extremely complicated internal chambers and things. So we had a few ideas, but we were so busy, it just sat there for a couple of years, and then we donated it to Hack. So we can still use it. In fact, they use it every day. So speaking of Hack, so yes,
Rob,
yes.
how do you find things on there? How do you look up to see existing? I know I've done a little looking around at it. How do you find the existing designs you can use, send off, that sort of thing?
Thingiverse.
Google it. Yeah, there's Thingiverse. There are several. Grab a chat or something like that. That I mean, I always just design my own, so I'm not a very good example of that. But there's just a plethora of stuff. It didn't take me 5 minutes to find the Raspberry Pi 5 that had the little door that you could open up for the GPIO pins, and I put in Raspberry Pi 5 case download step file, and I had 15 or 20. And then I just fine-tuned that to, I saw one that had the GPIO pins and I got that. Now the one that I did, let me see. The one that I got, which is this one, you're still sharing my screen, right?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. Okay. So when I got this, it didn't have these little slots in there, and I thought, boy, that thing really gets hot. I better put some extra slots in. So, I went in and let's see, can I turn this on? Can I turn it on? Anyway, I went in and there are the slots. So the slots, I won't get into the details, but you have to make shapes and then you do a Boolean subtraction and it just cuts them right out of there, clean as a whistle. It's pretty cool.
Are the edges smooth or do
Oh,
you have
yeah.
to clean up the
Oh, no.
joints and all that?
Oh, no. It's perfect. Yeah. And you control that. Let me see here. Let's go over to Prusa again, right here where it says infill 15% and your print settings where it says quality 0.55. Well, you can go way down to 0.5. I guess it didn't like that. Let's go up to 7. It may not, well, I'll tell you, I got outside of what the material was. Let's go say, there are a lot of variables, as you can see. I think what I did is I picked a size that was smaller than that material comes in. So maybe I have to import the whole thing again. Okay, let's try that. Now, this will be a good run through to see what kind of things happen. All right.
Is this something you would start to print and then just walk away from it, or you have to sit there and nurse it?
Oh no, no, we turn them on at Hack and then go home. I I will just cover Hack. This is the 3D printer area at Hack. We have a closed Prusa, open Prusa, Ultimaker. There's the Ultimaker. We also have the one that we donated, which was the resin printer. And I built cabinets for that and an air filtration system because there are some VOCs that come out of the resin that you don't want to be breathing. And so we built a system that filters all of that out so it can go into the air. And anyway, so I think, where I would like to go next is to really consider, let's go back and look at what the costs are. There some new ones out. Here's what most people want to print, actually. So that's fine. You can buy a $500 printer and print these things all day, but you can also go down to the game store and buy them for, $15. So I guess what I really want to say is if you can't find a part and you really make a lot of things, you're home brewer, you want to make connection parts for your antennas, and I'm only speaking in terms of ham radio. Anybody has a totally justifiable reason to buy one just to play with it. That's but I'm addressing it as you're a ham. You would like to have the 3D printer to do things because you build things and you want the flexibility of being able to design your own stuff. I mean, that's part of what it is, what ham radio is all about. If you look at the cost, say, let's pick this one, the budget printer, the Bamboo. This one's hot, and yeah, it's also Chinese. That's okay. We're gonna go there. So here's the Bamboo. It does different colors. Okay, it's $3.99, and So say you plop down your $3.99, how many things are you going to print with it, as opposed to going over here, and I'm not paid by Hack or anything, but paying, it's now 39 bucks a month. So that's 10 months of going to Hack and using the things 24/7 as much as you want. You probably, like myself, I go down there maybe 3 or 4 days a month and print something out, so I guess and I do other things. We have a 2,000 square foot wood shop and lots of other things. That's an advantage too. If you're building things, you can just go there and build everything. But I'm just specifically talking about the 3D printers now. But if you had full access to all these 3D printers, software, which some of the software you have to buy, the one that I showed you, Blender, is free. It's got a very high learning curve. I'm still learning, still doing tutorials, and I'm an industrial designer and I've been doing this for 40 years. So there's always something to learn. And with all this new technology and everything, some of it's not too easy to grasp right away, even though the software might be free. So those are all things to think about. Um, but I would put an argument forward that it might be worth your while before you buy one to you to pay for a couple of months of membership at Hack and go down and learn the printers. They have tutorials, they have workshops all the time. Or you just go on their Slack channel and you say, hey, can someone walk me through using the Prusa for the first time? And I guarantee you within about 15 minutes, somebody will volunteer. That's the kind of people they are. And, or if you're there and you have a problem, hey, how do I get the SD card out of this darn thing? It won't release it. Somebody will pop up and say, oh, press the button twice or something, whatever the thing is. So again, I'm not plugging Hack RVA, but I'm kind of introducing a dose of reality into the fervor about 3D printers. Yes, they're very interesting. They're not, as far as I'm concerned, they're not that practical. In my own work, I would rather use my CNC machine to make a mold for casting urethane parts, and I can make 100 of those in a day. But that's, I'm in kind of a different level because I do that for a living. But anyway, so let's kind of pause here. I mean, we can take a look at a couple of other printers. Here's this one.
Where is this Hack RVA?
It is on Dabney Road, just off of Broad Street, right around the corner there off of Westwood. I think it's Westwood. Yeah. Where Gusty Supply is, or any of that little industrial park over there on Dabney Road where Strange Ways Brewery is and everything. They're on Dabney Road. They're in one of the industrial areas. A very nice building. It belonged to a mattress company, and it's basically the mattress showroom. And our other place, we were in the refrigerator of Curl's Neck Dairy, and it was pretty nasty. Everything was galvanized wallpaper. But this is a very nice space. It's carpeted. As I mentioned, we've got an 1,800 square foot wood shop. We've got a 5x8 CNC machine, a 4x4 CNC machine, we've got a table saw, band saw, drill press, just the normal woodworking things. So all that for 39 bucks a month. I don't know how you can beat that. Again, I would say I probably average 3D printing more things than most of the members would. And like I said, I'm down there 3 days a week, or 3 days a month if I'm lucky doing that. But I use the place for other things. But I wouldn't buy a 3D printer myself. For one thing, and I need to cover this, when Slack first started, had 3D printers. What I mostly saw was on the Slack channel is, oh, it's broken. Who's going to fix it? Well, there were only 2 or 3 people that knew how to fix the thing. And that's the other thing. They're extremely touchy. And if the no, if the nozzle happens to cool off at the wrong time and you have to change the nozzle, it can be kind of a real hassle to get that nozzle off, because remember, it's all injection molded plastic, basically. Think about a glue gun with glue that is as hard as plastic and not nice and flexible like, hot gun glue is. But basically it is a hot glue, operation, except using plastic. So anyway, the maintenance, the bed can get out of alignment, which happens frequently. And again, there are a couple of gurus there at Hack that'll have the thing fixed in short order. But if that was yours, you'd be doing what a lot of us do with our QRP radios. We're on Groups.io trying to get, help from somebody who's like, what's wrong with this JFET? It's not acting properly. And then 2 days later, you finally, replace it with something else. So it's that kind of thing. It's not a plug and play item, although, it would appear to be so, but they are extremely touchy and fragile, but they're also lots of fun. I mean,
It's plug and pray, Rob.
Yeah, plug and pray, exactly. And the part quality, is okay. I like machining things because the parts come out really nice, and so I'm not always very happy about this, but it's good for prototyping. It's very good for prototyping. I have several things, that I've prototyped and had outside companies prototype. So the pros are it's customized. If you get the right one, you can have your choice of colors, or you can buy a coil of the wire, or the plastic wire that it uses, the filament it's called. That's not cheap. It's about $75 a roll. So if you want to have different kinds, there's PLA, which is just a standard kind of a monomer-based plastic. There's PETG, which is pretty neat stuff. It's kind of what your plastic water bottles are made out of, and it's a really nice plastic. It looks nice. It's very hard, has very high impact resistance. For instance, somebody that was making holsters for, Glocks and things like that started out 3D printing them, and then he realized that he could use the 3D printer to make a vacuum form mold and vacuum form those things out of Kydex. And now he's selling the heck out of those, but he vacuum forms the final product off of his 3D printed mold. I think that's brilliant. So, again, if you want to start your own Etsy store, we can have a different conversation. And I'm glad to talk to anybody about that, because I've been involved in making stuff at a industrial level for a long time. So some of the other pros, it's quick within hours. Okay, it's not quick within minutes, but it is quicker than, say, ordering the thing from Amazon and even getting it the next day. Because most of the things I think hams would want to print, and I'm thinking mainly, little enclosures for things, or knobs, or parts to put an antenna together. Or there was a guy at the tailgate session a couple of weekends ago, and he had a whole bunch of parts that he had 3D printed himself, and he was selling them. And I thought, well, for sure, those things, I mean, you can 3D print things, but that doesn't mean they're going to be out in the weather and have any kind of adhesion. But he said, yeah, he used UV protected plastic, and so he knew what he was doing. I was impressed, and I'm always impressed when I hear, people that don't do this for a living have stepped up and really grasped the technology. So it was quite impressive what he was doing there. those weren't cheap. They were like, one little fitting was like $5 or something. So I don't know about his marketing plan, but anyway, they were very nicely made. But also, it's very something you could make. Um, I'll throw this out there. If we had a permanent place, it's something the club might want to buy, and then everybody can use it. But then it comes down to the thing about who's going to repair it, who's going to maintain it. Somebody will inevitably, and this happens at every other day at Hack, somebody that's not quite trained enough messes the thing up, and then it sits there for a day or so till it can get fixed. So, there's some downsides to shared property. Um, but anyway, back to the pros. You can change your design often. That's good because sometimes you have to tweak it. It is quite accurate, by the way. I work in the world of tenths of a millimeter, so if I do a drawing in Blender and I know it's, 43.45 millimeters wide, when I bring it into the 3D software on Prusa, or there's another one called Cura. Here, I'll run that one just so you can see that. It will be dead on. And the other nice thing about 3D printing is there's not much shrinkage. If you were going to cast these in aluminum or ceramic or anything, you'd be looking at anywhere from 1 to 5% shrinkage rate, which makes it really hard to match up to some other, to some other parts that you will have in your product. Let's see here. Okay. Let's do that one. So, so here's my pie case in another software, Ultimaker, Cura, and it does the same thing. It slices it. And then you can preview it. And it's nice. You can slide it down and see if there's anything you don't like. So you can change the infill pattern. Maybe you don't like the grid. Maybe you want something else. There are reasons for those I won't go into. And then you can export the G code, and that's what runs on the machine. And usually you have to put it on an SD card then and take it over to the machine and stick it in there. So you're able to do design changes on the fly, like every 6 hours or something like that. But it's still good. And again, you can create your own designs or you can download them and modify them. So that's the cons are that it's slow. It's faster than ordering, but it's still slower than some other things. And design is a big part of the process. And again, we're back to Blender and other programs, SketchUp. Some of those are free. If you haven't used CAD software, well, let me start here. It's better if I start here and say, if you've used CAD software, you're light years ahead, because most CAD software works generally the same way. There are a few exceptions, SolidWorks and Fusion and some of those. But if you've used a CAD software, you have CAD thinking. But if you haven't used CAD software, just approaching how to design something will take up far more time than printing the thing out will. That's when you can just ask me and I'll do it for you, because that's what I do. Instead of playing games, my kids will come and say, "Hey Dad, there's this great game. You really have to see, you'll love it. It's flying stuff or shooting things, and I'll say, I've got this little radio I'm working on and I want to design this part for it. I'd really rather do that." But of course I do play games with them. But, so designing things to me is fun. I don't know, but I've been doing it for so long that it's kind of it's very easy for me to conceive of things through that process. And that takes, it's not just learning how to use the software, it's learning how to come up with a final design using the software. So that's a whole other subject that we can talk about. And then there's the free software, and then there's paid software. So that's, that's kind of my overview. I can go into depth in any other directions, or if you want to look at more printers, but you can do that. You can go online. This is good. CNET's good because they have big labs and they spend a lot of money evaluating this stuff. It's kind of like Yelp for products. Okay. If you go to Yelp and look at your restaurant and,
Did you
find.
say this is a product that's evolving?
Well, it's a
Or-
technology that's evolving. So we now can we can now 3D print sintered metal. So, you can actually make a metal part that's as hard and as durable as a piece of cast aluminum, or even, stainless steel. But, those things are pretty high dollar. But it is a technology that's evolving. It's kind of goes back to Star Trek, I think, when they had this box and they would say, "Oh, I need a new ray gun," or maybe it was Flash Gordon. I don't know. Maybe I'm showing my age here. Maybe it was Flash Gordon. They have a box that go in this. I need a new ray gun, and it prints it out. Well, hey, we got it. In fact, here's some crazy things, is that they use 3D printers for cake decoration. There's a guy that I follow on Instagram in Poland, and he built his own nozzle to extrude clay, and then he bakes it. So he makes ceramics, and they're really gorgeous. They're open networks, meshes, and interlocking, kind of things. But they're all out of clay, so they're 3D printing clay. They're 3D printing houses. So it's a technology that is very popular, but I think it's popular because people don't really know some of the underlying issues with it, that I think most people that have a 3D printer played with it a little bit, and then something happened to it, and it's been sitting over there on the bench for a couple of months, and it may not go anywhere else. But so you have to accept that there's a fair amount of fiddling that's going to go with it. It's like a British motor, like a yeah. No, it's like an MG, or something like that, where you buy the thing because you really like to tinker with them, not drive them. Well, they drive.
I appreciate your candor in describing this, Rob, because we as hands, I think, are looking for an excuse to buy stuff. Someone
Yeah.
tells us that maybe not. I think it's actually welcome. So I think Dwayne, you had a question.
Yeah, Chesterfield County Library has a free maker room space, especially
Yep.
central. And every library has at least one 3D printer, and they do teach you how to do it all for free.
Yep.
One of my favorite websites for that and information is all 3DP. ALL 3DP. And of course, you always have Tinkercad.
Yeah.
It's
Right. Yeah.
also free.
Did you have something you wanted to say, Ron?
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna add, stop, sure, it's free, but we can see more people.
Does anyone else have a question for Rob about 3D printing?
I don't have a question,
Or
but
anybody else have a comment?
I used it to print the mounting brackets. The ABS ones for DX88 antenna. And it was cheap enough for me to print them and try the antenna and decide it really wasn't the antenna I wanted. Didn't cost me anywhere near as much as buying parts for it.
Right.
It just, like you said, it just took a while.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I'm saying, if somebody really wants to get their feet wet, I highly recommend, getting a for $39, get a hack membership for a month. They don't care. Somebody asked, how much does it cost to use a machine at Hack RVA, $39. Well, for how long? However long you want. Well, how much is a day's membership? $39. Well, how much is a week's membership? $39. Well, how much is a month's membership? $39. Okay, you mean I can use it for 30 days or one day? Yes. Okay. So go over, you know, and use it there. And if you're in love with it and you really, it's something that you want to do, then buy one and you'll have more. You will have people there that know even more than I do because I don't live there like some of them do. And that's one of the other great advantages there. I can't say enough about it, obviously, because um, I'm very I'm very excited finally being, for a long time, I pestered all of the fabrication shops in Richmond making sculptures and stuff for Reynolds Metals and, exhibits and things. And I was kind of using them as my Hack RVA. And then along came Hack RVA and I, didn't have to have a paying project. I could do my own stuff. So I'm really very excited about it. And it's a great group of people. They are very helpful. Thursdays is open house. And last night we had hot dogs and stuff like that. And everybody stood around and talked. But somebody also told me why the PET G wasn't sticking to the plate of the 3D printer and that you have to use a textured plate. I didn't know that. I didn't find it online anywhere. So very valuable information. You can't go wrong for the price. And if you end up buying one, you'll have people there that can help you, So that's very important. That's, like our club. I can call up Armin anytime and say, do you have a J310? And he said, no, but I've got a couple of MPF 102s. And so, that kind of thing.
All right. Anybody else have any questions? If not, thank you, Rob. That was good.
Sure.
Let's stuff it in there. Rob, you said, I think we talked about this, they have like basic soldering electronics too, right?
Say that again?
They have like basic soldering stuff and
I didn't mention that. They have a complete electronics bench with, I don't think they have a frequency analyzer, but they have an oscilloscope, Regal, and, some pretty nice things. And they do a badge project every year for some security convocation that happens in Richmond, and they've made badges for 16 years. So they have their own pick and place machine. I mean, it's quite impressive, but they have bins full of parts that you can just go ponder through if you need a odd resistor or something, and a complete desoldering and solder flowing station.
Well, thanks. All right. Thanks, Rob.
Sure.
Thank you.
yeah.